week. Well, there is a lot quite going on, with Uganda still bleeding out about 25 million Ugandan shillings every day, of course, in the line of corruption, with bushmeat and also conservationists expressing their worry all over the East African region because poaching numbers have gone high, all the way to corruption again back here in Uganda, where residents of Mpigi did witness how their leaders have been fleecing them of their money. I can say that you have been quite busy, Ugandans. Well, good morning. Welcome to this very special edition of Good Morning Uganda. It is the 24th of October 2022. My name is Philomena Mastiko. And yes, it's a full house, like always, with Felix Nkunda, with Mollen, Kenyena, and Robert Nyonyintono. Well, this morning we are going to be diverging more when it comes to these topics and much more. But first things first. Good morning, Mollen. How are you doing?
It's a very good morning to you. I am doing all right, and I want to say good morning to your family here. Good morning, Uganda. Well, welcome back from the weekend, and like Philo said, I think people have been busy. And when he talked about Mpigi, it's just, for me, it was an interesting story. Yes. Because you look at even the cow being involved in all that saga, and Prime Minister has actually ordered a lot of investigations into the case.
Yes.
Now, interesting enough, they, giving out fake and false, reports, accountability reports, it means that someone out there ate the money, and when they came to, account for it, they had nothing to do, and they brought out fake reports, which are now a proof that there is corruption over there. You look at the engineers as well in Mpigi. Now they are getting in the old and the former and the current engineers. Yes. On the sloppy roads that they did construct. Now, Ugandans would wonder, this is taxpayers' money. This money is meant to construct roads in their areas. And you as leaders, you're taking advantage of that just because you have access to it and doing all this injustice. And, I don't know why Ugandans do not love their country. This road is for your area, and they have put you as a contractor. Why are you being corrupt? I don't know why. There is still corruption in this country, but it's a disease that is very hard to treat, that's for sure.
And you know what beats my understanding, Mollen, is that usually when it comes to the administrations of all these institutions, you'll find one old administration, and probably if it has been inflicted with corruption, you probably think that a new administration will start on a clean slate. Yeah. But it's like they just, pass on the habits. It's a pattern.
They take over from where the other guys stopped. Yes. Because you find that some of these chains are just continuous. Even, the former guys were doing the same thing. So when the current guys came, they just took on the mantle. And I don't know, there is no stop to it.
I was just wondering that maybe if during their orientations, they also pass on that information. It's really crazy, it's really bad. Good morning, Robert. Welcome back from the weekend.
Good morning, family. Good morning, our viewers. The weekend had a lot of things. Yes, we had some death registered. Our brother, Lisa Mususa, buried his only brother. We also mourn with our friends, that is the Galax FM family, that lost their CEO in a road accident, that is along Entebbe Express Highway. So there was that beat of sadness there. However, you guys are talking about the Mpigi incident. I want to be very honest to you and very honest to all Ugandans. I never get excited by corruption reports. I ceased to get excited. I never get excited over so and so has been arrested, so and so has been indicted. I wait at the end of it, because it's not the first time such arrests have been made. They have been made and they may continue to be made. But the biggest question is, what happens? What do we see at the end of the tunnel? Is it going to be going to court, people getting bail, or people getting bond, people moving out? Then later these people, you see them getting other offices, working in other offices. Some are just transferred. One district engineer does fake things, shadow work, misallocates funds. Then you hear the next is an engineer in another district. So with all this ruckus, funniness and confusion, I never get excited. I only get excited when I see someone before the judge and the magistrate says, I sentence you to this number of years and you have to bring back this property. I'll get excited, and I got excited when I saw the likes of Godfrey Kazinda, the Jimmy Ramafas, the Jamwas under NSSF. But then I'm not bothered by the IGG's reports and what they say. Neither am I bothered by actions of seeing people being arrested in a gathering. We've seen the State House Anti-Corruption Unit under the former head, Afande Nakalema. She did a great work in showing they have been arrested, they have been implicated. Where are those people now? We want to see action, not camera and all this and exciting.
We really need to do a follow-up and see what their fate has been. But again, somebody was telling me maybe even the IGG needs to be under, I mean, it needs to go under investigation, and I'm wondering, wow, so
do you know what they have proposed?
Even work, how does this operate?
My sister, I was watching TV at my place. I felt I needed to pick a stone and smash the screen, but I knew I still needed it to watch TV. When I saw the IG proposing, but because of the lengthy period now in the justice of our country, we propose these corruption cases, now we must settle them outside the court. Because there someone can bring back the money, we can recover the money on time. And I was like, hey,
but isn't that giving them such a soft landing, especially
so if I'm
for the
caught,
culprits?
when I've stolen government, instead of taking me through court, which may take 9, 10 years because we need to recover the money, now let's settle it outside court and say, Mollen, please bring back this money, we've gotten you. Like, instead of saying, how do we expedite these cases? We are now talking about bargaining. You steal money meant to treat people, for money meant to do roads, and we hold you. Now you see, we've seen you, we saw you, now bring back this. I said, no.
Well, like somebody again was telling me, sometimes the systems you put in place as a country enable some of the vices like corruption. I mean, if we continue on this path, we will never break this pattern. We will never come to the day when we see corruption officially out of our Ugandan administration systems. But again, it is entirely up to us. Felix, good morning. Welcome back from the weekend.
Morning, Philo. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome. How's your weekend?
It was good. It was peaceful. It was calm.
Anything particular from the usual that you did?
Nothing. I officially announced my plans on Friday.
You know what your usual is? Your usual
and I stayed indoors.
You know, your usual is sleeping, so I'm asking anything from the usual. But anyway, did you manage to catch church?
Oh yes, I did. I went to church and came back home. It was a very quiet weekend.
Yeah, in the midst of this whole nation's hullabaloo, some of us choose to get in the pace of quietness and do away with this whole, it's called Gambadoism, if you want me to call it. Because it's a potato-potato situation where you see every other person trying to play cowboy because they got the gun in their hands, and then the next day it's the other, like it's all sort of like a roller coaster for politicians and how they want to do this whole showbiz. But Bob, you talk about something like standards. I think if we get to a standard where we do appreciate corruption as a true vice as a country, it will become much easier. It's not about Nabanja, because Nabanja won't be prime minister maybe tomorrow, but and then. So we can't depend on personal character to chase down corruption. We must base on standards, laws, and how institutional corruption is handled. So you can't, so all these things they do, they are good for lip service, for the camera people. It's for a moment. If we want to deal with corruption in this country, we must get something quite solid and definitely that is sustainable, even after 10-year appreciations. But corruption is alive regardless, and sometimes Ugandans will say, all Ugandans you talk about corruption will simply say, only talking about it because you're not benefiting. But the day you're the one who's benefiting, you won't be saying.
Is that why it's transitional from one administrative system to another? Because
they were just waiting to get an opportunity to be a part of it. So that's what I'm saying. But anyway, nevertheless, there's some. Robert talked about the sad news that we got through the weekend and many other. We do pray for the families of the people who did lose their loved ones. Funny thing is that the 2 deaths that Robert talked about, both of them, like we always say, Africans, we normally die of reasons that, like they say, these are unnatural deaths.
Yes.
He did talk about the death of the CEO of Galaxy, is it Galaxy FM? Who died out of a very terrible accident. And the police came out to say that he was overspeed. We don't know how true that is, but we didn't see any footage. But that's either because of the roads, or because of the drivers, or because of the car. Those are things we really need to work on as Ugandans.
Also, poor decision making on the roads.
Yes.
As a driver.
Yes. No one knows, but we do pray for the soul of the deceased. The other death he did talk about was the one of the brother, Edidi Samsuza, who was beaten in a simple fight with his colleagues somewhere in Katwe. And someone beat him, they broke his jaw, and I think he got some internal bleeding. And someone dies like that.
What does that say about us as a society, honestly?
So I think we must find lots of checks for our own selves in the people we spend time with, how we spend time. You see, something I've learned consistently, and mostly from the white people, is that life is something you must protect by always. Many a times we do things that put our lives in harm's way. The decisions we make, the things we do, like we must have that point where we stop in every other thing. Like I remember the death of radio. Father Chibi in Ruraga was saying that Musajjono Senga yaliwaka, like had he been at his home with his family, maybe this won't have met him. But well, death is death. But we do pray for the souls of those that deceased and pray for the families they left behind, that they may get courage, and we pray that our country becomes a better place.
Well, indeed, may the souls of the deceased rest in peace continuously, obviously. But also, there is one thing we need to talk about. I don't know if any of you here is a fan of bushmeats, okay? I am a fan, and for a minute, I'm starting to feel guilty because I feel like I may be contributing to one major problem. Now, when it comes to conserving the wildlife, it's very key for any country. And Uganda already, as we know it, we have embarked on different strategies and different, ideas to make sure that we can conserve the wildlife, not only in Uganda, Kenya, and even any other African country. But also there is one rising problem, and it's clearly showing all the loopholes in the administration as we are trying to make sure we conserve wildlife. Bushmeat, the growth is really up there, especially when it comes to the demand and also the consumption rate, not only here in Uganda, but also in Tanzania and moving on to the DRC and some of the West African countries. The issue here is that where is this bushmeat coming from? Especially when it comes to poaching, definitely there is a relationship between the two. And I can tell you that Tanzania was putting out statistics showing that on an annual basis, rather the Democratic Republic of Congo, on an annual basis, 1 million tons of bushmeat is consumed. And moving to Tanzania on a monthly basis, about 3,000 tons of bushmeat are put out into the markets. Now, what does that mean? Where is the administration in all this? Because clearly shows that poaching is high. And I'm starting to worry, me just like a few other Ugandans who enjoy bushmeat, are we actually contributing to the problem? Because we may enjoy this meat but not knowing how it was, it was acquired. So,
do you enjoy it? Let's be
please
serious.
Do not expose me on national TV.
Maybe we can tell you how that particular one is gotten.
Yes, Mollen.
That all this meat is due to poaching, because you look at the biggest hotels that have most of this meat on the menu. I don't think they're getting it from poachers. I think
they rear them.
No, I think the administration is involved. You cannot tell me that you have this kind of meat on your menu on particular days.
Which administration are we talking about?
Wildlife administration, whoever. I don't want to pinpoint. I don't want to.
You already pinpointed,
Mollen. But I am telling
what
you.
Mollen is saying.
I am telling.
Let me present the facts to her. This is what happens when you want. Uganda Wildlife Authority allows hunting these animals with permission and guidelines. For example, they will allow you to hunt a particular population of an animal. Maybe if the antelopes are so much on an increase, they'll tell you hunt, but you must hunt a mature male. They give you guidelines and people go and hunt. You get hunting licenses. So that is not poaching, but they are giving you specific guidelines. However, when we talk about this wild meat, we have so many forests, so many swamps that people go and hunt these animals and sell. They don't go to protected areas. No, because most people think poaching is when you go to a protected area. But even if you have a buffalo within your forests. People have huge forests and they'll tell you, "Mulimu enjobo, mulimu engabi, mulimu," all this. But you have to get permission to kill that animal. Otherwise, when Wildlife Authority finds you, it is your own forest, these antelopes are there, but you've gotten your spears and whatever, you've gone for them, you commit a crime. They're not supposed to be hunted because we need them. So that's how you see in some hotels, they have that meat on their menu. They get from people who have gotten license from Uganda Wildlife Authority.
But the consistent supply of this meat is where the question comes in, especially if you're targeting a certain population. I mean, year in, year out, you can't have a consistent flow of this kind of meat, and that is what is making people question.
But
How?
is there a regulation to that? Like, to what end? If they are, yes, regulating it and officially saying, okay, this is up for hunting, are they regulating so that we don't kill out the population?
Buffaloes.
And you also, another thing that you look at is, I actually don't know where crocodiles fall, because I'm a huge fan of crocodile meat. So I don't know whether we are also putting it to an extinction in terms of conservation, but maybe the crocodiles should be more on the menu.
Now that is best because you enjoy crocodile meat.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's nice. You should try it.
I wonder what Felix enjoys.
You will not manage Felix. I'm telling you. Well, time for us to go through some of the local stories and international stories.
And we'll begin with what happened in Wachiso, where we saw the Prime Minister following up and ensuring that 2 officers were arrested, where 2 district officials from PG and Gomba are being held for interrogation after presenting inconsistent accountability on road construction works in the 2 districts. This happened during a meeting called to discuss the state of roads and other social services in Impigi, Butambala and Gomba district. The meeting took place at Impigi District Police Station, Pearl Grounds, and was chaired by the Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja.
We're now crossing over into Mubende, where we see police in Mubende have arrested at least 10 people over floating the presidential directives on Ebola. Now, this follows police deployment in Mubende and Kasanda district, and according to Mubende Police Commander Tulikumwe Emmanuel, the culprits will be brought to book. Now, border riders have also been asked to stay at home during these curfew hours.
And moving on, sex workers hailing from the hotspot of Kijungu, Ambara city suburb, have been engulfed with tears and emotions as they were being given boosts to start own businesses over the other way of trade. Majority of these are said to be orphans and victims of family violence, but because of their tough living conditions in their homes, they found themselves in this business as their last resort for survival. And here now, they were given these to start new life. Reports indicate that these found themselves into the business due to pressing issues for their respective homes, among which include peer groups, burden of orphans, and endless domestic fights. Statistics indicate that Mbara City has close to 6,350 commercial sex workers. The influx of these reportedly have contributed to increase of HIV/AIDS spread in Mbara City, only standing at 13.6%. Some of these commercial sex workers have, however, been relieved from this business. 6,000.
Well, Uganda might have an open door policy to refugees, but you have ever wondered what happens to child refugees when they arrive here? It has been established that the special attention is given to these children to ensure proper care and attention, inclusive treatment. But also in March 2022, about 2,000 unaccompanied refugee children were received in Kisoro, out of whom 438 were transited to Nachivale refugee settlement in Isingiro district. It is not clear where their parents are. What seems clear, though, is that these children are desperate, lonely, and hungry.
And elsewhere, starting off with the Philippines, images of students wearing so-called anti-cheating hats during college exams have gone viral on social media in the Philippines, sparking amusement. Students at one college in Legazpi City were asked to wear headgear that would prevent them peeking at others' papers. Many responded by creating homemade contraptions out of cardboard, egg boxes, and other recycled material. Their tutor said she had been looking for a fun way to ensure integrity and honesty in her classes. Mary Joy Mundane Ortiz, a professor of mechanical engineering at Biko University College of Engineering, said the idea had been really effective. It was implemented for recent midterm exams, which were sat by hundreds of students at the college in the third week of October. Now, former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has dropped a bid to lead the Conservative Party, ending a short-lived high-profile attempt to return to a job he was removed from little more than 3 months ago. His withdrawal on Sunday leaves former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak the strong favorite to become the United Kingdom's next Prime Minister, the third this year at a time of political turmoil and severe economic challenges. Johnson had raced home from a holiday in the Caribbean to try and secure the backing of 100 legislators to enter the contest to replace Liz Truss, the woman who succeeded him in September after he was forced to quit over a string of scandals. He said late on Sunday that he had secured the backing of 102 legislators and could have been back in Downing Street, but that he had failed to persuade either Sunak or other contender Penny Mordaunt to come together in the national interest. I believe I have much to offer, but I am afraid that this is simply not the right time, Johnson said.
Away from that, death toll in Sudan, tribal clashes rises to at least 220. Now, the death toll from days of tribal fighting in South Sudan has risen to at least 220, making this one the deadliest episodes of ethnic violence in recent years. Fighting in Blue Nile province, which borders Ethiopia and South Sudan, reignited this month over a land dispute. Now, it pits the Hausa people who had origins across West Africa against the Belta community. The tensions escalated on Wednesday and Thursday in the town of Wad al-Mahi on the border with Ethiopia. The unrest added to the wars of the country mired in civil conflict and political chaos. Fath Al-Haman Bakhit, Director General of the Blue Nile Health Ministry, said on Sunday that officials had counted at least 220 dead. He said the figure could be much higher because medical teams have not been able to reach the epicenter of the fighting. Bakhit also said the first humanitarian and medical convoy reached Wad al-Mahi late Saturday to assess the situation, including counting the huge numbers of bodies and dozens of the wounded. In Northern Climate News, climate change and environmental degradation are escalating the risk and prevalence of violence against women and girls across the world, a UN-appointed independent human rights expert warned. Presenting a report to the General Assembly on its causes and consequences, Rim Al-Salem, UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls, described climate change as the most consequential threat multiplier for women and girls, with far-reaching impacts on new and existing forms of gendered inequalities. She maintained that the cumulative and gender consequences of climate change and environmental degradation reach all aspects of their rights. Ms. Al-Salem emphasized the damaging ways in which violence directed towards women and girls intersects with socio-political and economic phenomena, including armed conflict, displacement, and resource scarcity.
While it's I know that Robert also is quite getting ready to tell us about the 3 bottles you're holding. What's for Monday, Robert?
This Monday, start your week energized, start your week healthy, start your week ensuring that you'll complete your week in the right shape. How would you do that? You need to boost your immune system so that you're able to fight off a number of diseases. And what these do, they are not treatment, but they are immune boosters. Hallelujah Banana Fruit Juice is just here. We have Hallelujah Ginger Tea and Hallelujah Tamarind. Now these will help you to be healthy and of course save so much that you would give to doctors, to all. You know, these days there are so many people who treat we have doctors in courts, we have those that think now they are being bewitched. So avoid all those emotional and all that by simply boosting your immune system. Just 1,500 each of these bottles and you're good to go. I recommend regular consumption.
But what really got my attention is the people who always think they're being bewitched. I don't know, maybe some people take special interest in wanting to be bewitched.
Someone gets a stomach upset continuously and says, now the way this Mollen looks at me, I think Mollen then goes and visits Jaja Felix.
I really don't know how that works
there.
out, but I think we also need to have a change in our mindsets and maybe concentrate on the things that really matter and count. Good morning, Uganda. This Monday, and of course, we are with you all the way till the hour of 9 a.m. We'll be talking, having conversations, having discussions, and we do expect to hear from you as well as we go on with whatever it is we have to unpack for you this morning. But now, today is a Monday, so yes, we are going in for the hour starter, and that is, of course, the inspirational song to make sure that we help you, we lay a foundation for you for this Monday. I know that people consider Monday to be such a long day, such an unpleasant day, I must say, but we're trying to make sure that we get rid of the blues, of the Monday blues. When we get back, we'll be talking about this refugee situation that is happening over there at the border of Kisoro. Well, the refugees are trying to establish their own, conditions. I think they're more comfortable wherever they are, and they wouldn't want to be, displaced and taken somewhere else. But I mean, what is the impact of that on the communities around there? What does that mean? And how do we get them to move to the established settlements? Well, we'll be talking more about that when we get back. It is Good Morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Easy concepts.
Uganda is still bleeding out about 25 million Ugandan shillings every day, of course, in the line of corruption, with bushmeat and also conservationists expressing their worry all over the East African region because poaching numbers have gone high, all the way to corruption again back here in Uganda, where residents of Mpigi did witness how their leaders have been fleecing them of their money. I can say that you have been quite busy, Ugandans. Well, good morning. Welcome to this very special edition of Good Morning Uganda. It is the 24th of October 2022. My name is Philomena Mastiko. And yes, it's a full house, like always, with Felix Nkunda, with Mollen, Kenyena, and Robert Nyonyintono. Well, this morning we are going to be diverging more when it comes to these topics and much, much, much more. But first things first. Good morning, Mollen. How are you doing?
It's a very good morning to you. I am doing all right, and I want to say good morning to your family here. Good morning, Uganda. Well, welcome back from the weekend, and like Philo said, I think people have been busy. When he talked about CPG, it's just, for me, it was an interesting story, yes, because you look at even the cow being involved in all that saga, and Prime Minister has actually ordered a lot of investigations into the case.
Yes.
Now, interesting enough, the giving out fake and false reports, accountability reports, it means that someone out there ate the money, and when they came to account for it, they had nothing to do, and they brought out fake reports, which are now a proof that there is corruption over there. And you look at the engineers as well in PG. Now they are getting in the old and the former and the current engineers, yes, on the sloppy roads that they did construct. Now, Ugandans would wonder, this is taxpayers' money. This money is meant to construct roads in their areas. And you as leaders, you're taking advantage of that just because you have access to it and doing all this injustice. And, I don't know why Ugandans do not love their country. This road is for your area and they have put you as a contractor. Why are you being corrupt? I don't know why. There is still corruption in this country, but it's a disease that is very hard to treat, that's for sure.
And you know what beats my understanding, Mollen, is that usually when it comes to the administrations of all these institutions, you'll find one old administration, and probably if it has been inflicted with corruption, you probably think that a new administration will start on a clean slate. But it's like they just, you know, pass on the habits. It's a pattern.
They take over from where the other guys stopped.
Yes.
Because you find that some of these chains are just continuous. Even, you know, the former guys were doing the same thing. So when the current guys came, they just took on the mantle. And I don't know, there is no stop to it.
I was just wondering that maybe if during their orientations they also pass on that information. It's really crazy, it's really bad. Good morning, Robert. Welcome back from the weekend.
Good morning, family. Good morning, our viewers. The weekend had a lot of things. Yes, we had some death registered. Our brother, Elisa Mususa, buried his only brother. We also mourn with our friends, that is the Galax FM family, that lost their CEO in a road accident that is along Entebbe Express Highway. So there was that beat of sadness there. However, you guys are talking about the Mpigi incident. I want to be very honest to you and very honest to all Ugandans. I never get excited by corruption reports. I ceased to get excited. I never get excited.
Was brought to you by
simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
We bring you a fresh, well-researched program to help you identify opportunities for investment, job creation, growing your entrepreneurial skills, wealth creation, and social transformation.
We have a product that is ready for schools, supermarkets.
Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Every week, we showcase opportunities for creating new products and services.
I now harvest a lot of cocoa. When I harvest it, I sell. After selling, I put money in my project. I have two projects. One is for construction of my house, two is for educating my children.
Excellence in innovation, the passion and drive to succeed, and the right mindset to grow your business. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Brought to you by Operation Wealth Creation.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone, the most affordable smartphone in Uganda. You get to enjoy free 1 GB for 1 whole year. My Airtel 4G smartphone, your best value for money. Visit the nearest Airtel outlet today and get one at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda Newsreel. Welcome to this discussion moment amongst myself, Philomena, Mastiko, Roberts, and Felix this morning. Now, our conversation on this Monday morning, the 24th of October 2022, we want to talk about the refugee situation down there in Kisoro. Now, fresh fights erupted between the M23 rebels and the Congolese government. And of course, when this happens, we have seen not once, not twice, forcing people to come and seek refuge on the Ugandan part or on the Ugandan side. Of course, looking at Kisoro, seeing as it is on the border, we have witnessed a number of Congolese refugees running over there to make sure that they are safe, carrying their families and some of their property that they can move with. Now, this morning, looking at the Nyakabande refugee, which is one of the transit camps that has always been the destination for very many refugees. Clearly there is an issue erupting there. Now we are seeing Congolese refugees who have refused to be actually taken to other settlement camps in Uganda. We do have quite a number of those, but the Congolese refugees have actually insisted that they're not okay with being displaced and taken to all these other settlement camps. Matter of fact, they feel very comfortable at this transit camp. Now, most of their reason mainly is that they would want to be close to home, just in case there is a commercial break in this fight, or maybe eventually they cease, they can be able to locate their homes. Now, the issue here is that, of course, UNHCR has come out to say, listen, we need to take you to these settlement camps because while there, you will be able to get the humanitarian need that you actually looking for right now, the food, the land, and as in the meantime, as things back at home are trying to settle. But these refugees are saying no. They have refused, okay? They're okay with this. Now my question is here, I mean, maybe from your opinion, maybe we try to see it from their side, Robert. What do you think gives these people the moral to say no, the refugees? Because they're coming here, we are offering them our help, and probably taking them to these established camps, maybe it puts them in a better position to get all the help that they need. Why do they feel comfortable saying no?
Well, whenever we are discussing refugees, I get emotional. Reason being is because I feel for these people, and I feel that we are not doing enough, or we've chosen not to do what is right, but do what is wrong because we are benefiting. You see, these refugees are not running away from natural calamities. What do I mean? They are not displaced by floods. They are not displaced by, you call them these hurricanes and all that. They are displaced by human set problems. And what we've chosen to do is to concentrate more on what we can't sustain, concentrate more on giving them aid than saying, let's concentrate on ensuring we stop them from coming into Uganda or wherever they are in the world. I remember it was the 22nd of Thursday in 2017 when Uganda hosted what we called the Refugee Solidarity Summit. 2017. We had the Secretary General of UN by then, Antonio Guterres, here in Uganda. We had about 30 heads of states and a delegation of various international donors. Now, this was aimed at raising $2 billion US. This money was to ensure that it helps the refugees and the host communities. I want to tell you, many Ugandans getting an opportunity to work in United Nations High Commission for Refugees, Philo and all of us here, you know what that would mean. I've been to some of these camps, I've seen the NGOs, I've seen the cars they are driving, I've seen business, I've seen money coming from left, center, and central aimed at refugees. We've had our office of the Prime Minister, we had people, not the current Prime Minister, people implicated on stealing billions, trillions of these funds. Yes. That's where we've chosen. How do we improve? How do we give them right jerry cans? How do we give them tents? We've not said, we've not determined to say, M23, who funds you as M23? M23, the guns you're holding, where are they manufactured? This heavy machinery, can we the funders stop? Can you, the ones they buy guns from, stop? Can we work together and say there will be no M23? We've fought M23. If we could have 30 heads of states and a dominant community come to Uganda, if we could say we are raising $2 billion US, how much can we do if we choose the angle of saying the insecurity should be fought because this is not God created, these are not floods. But that is what we've chosen to do. That let's improve their lives. Now going back to your question. Why are these refugees saying we'd rather stay here? One, rightly said, some are optimistic that what will happen, peace may reign in their land. So they want to be near home so that they can go back. Because when you look at Nachivare settlement, that is in Chisoro district. Now, the Nyakabande, the alternative is Nachivare, which takes a person all the way to Isingiro district. So, this transit center is more near home. And remember, this Nyakabande was established in March when there was fresh fighting, the M23. So, United Nations High Commission for Refugees set up this transit center that when they come, examine them, then get them proper settlement in gazetted refugee centers. So, the distance, proximity to home is one of the issues that some are saying we may go very far, yet it's hard for us to go back home. Two, and which is a truth, that even the center, this place was set up to accommodate 809 refugees in transit. Today it's serving over 6,000. It's far stretched. And that is why we see Uganda government, United Nations High Commission for Refugees, has decided to decommission. And I think by next week has even said demolishing some of the tents and all that. Because it is now going to become another problem in one way. And it was never set up to be a center. But also facts that are not coming out clearly is when refugees are removed from this center, you see this center, because they're in transit, they are getting almost all the basic services. Now this is what happens when you're a refugee and you leave a transit center and you're taken to a camp, a settlement camp. There, water is scarce, firewood is scarce, so is food. How does it happen? That when they remove you here and they take you to this center, they give you first a plot of land, which is 30 by 50 meters, for you to construct your shelter and do some bit of agriculture. You get it? But your food ratio, monthly food ratio, because they believe now they have given you a piece of land and a place to be, they continue reducing how much they are giving you. You get it? Yes. Yet at the transit center, it is uniform because they know you're not able to do anything there. But now here they have taken you to a community, there is land, what they believe, you can construct shelter there. So even because even this land is decreasing and there are many, you don't have enough food. That's why they were asking World Food Program, that at least when a person is removed from the transit center, continue giving them food for at least 6 months so that they settle in. But this way of assuming now this person is able to sustain themselves, they can't. And these camps don't have facilities as it was at the transit center. The water is a big problem there. Firewood, now we're here, they're teaching them how to, they're giving them briquettes, you know briquettes? Yes. And teaching them how to use, how to make briquettes for firewood, because it is scarce. So they know here what I've been getting, I'm not going to get it there. So that is a problem. They know the aid that is in transit is not going to be there, so they don't want to go there. Because much as we are painting it very good and sweet, it has complications that are there. But all this goes back to bite us as Ugandans. That when we chose our refugee policy, that is why a refugee will leave a country that is more near their home and come to Uganda.
Which really makes me want to also, maybe in relation to the refugee policy, seeing as looking now, because right now we're looking at the settlement camps as the final destinations for these refugees until, of course, they have to return home. But also, again, we have noticed that there are challenges, there are reasons as to why most of these refugees are saying, no, we would rather be in this transit camp. Now, Felix, this is what I would really love to hear from you. Do you think that this points out the weaknesses in our refugee policy? And anyway, what are we doing wrong? Because matter of fact, I think Uganda has like the biggest number of refugees on the African continent.
We are top hosting country in the African continent. We are third in the whole world.
Third in the whole world, first on the African continent. And we don't only have refugees, meanwhile, from the Democratic Republic of Congo. We have refugees from South Sudan. We have refugees from Ethiopia. We have refugees from Eritrea. We have very many refugees from different countries. So What are the weaknesses you think are in our refugee policy, and is there a way we can actually try to tighten it? Because at the end of the day, we are also inconveniencing the locals, and this is not a fact that we can just choose to ignore. I mean, when you look at the people in around these hosting communities, their complaints are quite many.
Philo, you see, when you talk about refugees, you're literally talking about people who are being given, like one would say, hostage in a foreign state because of reasons that present them with lack of peace and ability to settle where they actually belong. Now, those people are being hosted, but they are not the country's guests. Like, they're not, the responsibility of their stay is not for the country. That's something I think we need to be very clear and keen about. There are people we are hosting, but there are people we are not responsible for, just so you know. And that's what puts in play the High Commission of the UN, for that matter. Now, consistently, Uganda has been a beneficiary from this policy of its own self.
Yes.
And that's a matter of fact. I don't want us to act like we don't know how Uganda benefits. It may not be in the domain of news, but there are many benefits for Uganda. One of them is what we call the international image. Many things have gone wrong in this country, and the only reason sometimes other countries that we benefit from have consistently stayed consistent in their funding for Uganda is because of our refugee policy. If you've heard them even say, for example, the US has many a times come out to say that they will continue supporting Uganda because of our refugee policy. And between you and me, you know that most of our most crucial services run on aid. Yeah. Like health and just to mention by infrastructure and what. So the refugee policy in Uganda has benefited us thus far. However, there have been challenges, and some of them have been consistent, like the one that you're speaking about most recent. The abuse of this policy by probably our neighboring countries. Most of them, for example, previously we used to have lots of Sudani refugees. Yes. But when Uganda also put up a stance to assist this country get into their peace transition, their number reduced drastically, if you have noticed lately. What am I trying to say? The refugee question and the permanent solution of this question is not necessarily on how good we handle it as a country. It is how good the countries whose refugees we host handle their situations. And this is what we have been saying consistently. If you have refugees from Congo, consistently over the years from Congo, the solution may not be in bettering the situation for refugee camps. The solution, that's not a solution. Yes. Because refugee camps are not permanent places for people to be. As you said, they are transitional places. You either come probably because of a turmoil, then one ceases, you have to return. But the purpose of these refugee camps is not only to host these people to stay there, it's also for rehabilitation. Like one of the stories we did earlier, where you see that there's over 300 child refugees who up till today we don't know their parents, but they're being hosted in Uganda. Now, the question is, how do you handle these kids? Do you send them back to their country? Do you, like how?
To what? With who?
Yes. Those are the questions that surround. And now, some of the people here, one of the reasons why they will not move is that some of them have seemingly settled to a particular livelihood in these places. You see some of them going to markets to sell merchandise. They have already sort of like found a way to live amongst those communities. You find them in Kisoro town also having stuff to trade. Some of them are selling clothes, others are selling Irish potato, others, they have engaged themselves in the transactions of the community. And now you're telling them to live to a place where they don't know how their fate will be. Many of you have seen our brothers and sisters here, Eritreans, who have now big businesses in Kampala. How do you tell them to return back to what? That is not promised. Some of them now are marrying people here. The Congolese are all over in Machindi. They have small bars, they have children, like all these things. So sometimes this refugee question is very hard to answer because of some challenges like this. But the problem is in the intention of the people who say they have the power. Most of the people who fund these commissions, like the Refugee Commission of the UN, are not Uganda, not Tanzania, not Kenya. These are the US, the UA, the UK, the France, the what. But they're happy to fund a refugee institution, managing institution, but not to come and stop the problem.
Yes.
But they will stand consistently and talk about issues like democracy. So the question is this a good problem for them? And this probably brings us to something that probably now we start to think about, maybe it's true, that the existence of turmoil or the absence of peace in these countries probably works to the benefit of some of these countries. And no wonder when you go to some of the countries like Rwanda, when you go to Congo, you realize that there's a footprint of some of the Western countries in the absence of peace in these places. So when you're talking about stabilizing these places, you will be surprised that that's not their intention. They want to help you manage the refugee question, but not to stop the causes of. Now, that is what one of the leaders of Africa said. That is His Excellency Paul Kagame. He made a very good commentary about this, and he said that we must be alive to the facts of the problems of Africa and not fear to discuss them as Africa, so we can get African solutions. When you discuss issues of refugee, ask, can we get African solutions to refugee questions? The UN approach is a Western answer to refugee question. What are the African answers to the refugee question? So the compatibility
there varies. You can't be using Western answers to answer African questions. Yes,
Philo,
that's the bitter discussion.
That initially that we've chosen that path. That how do we better lives of refugees? And I asked, these are simple things to deal with if we wanted to. When you look at these insurgencies, for example, the M23, where do they get this heavy machinery that are not manufactured anywhere on the African planet, on the African continent? You know, these big things I see sometimes and I wonder, not manufactured anywhere. And some even have country of origin and manufacturing. Where do they get them? When we talk about them being in these jungles, how do they feed? Who is giving them the money? Can we ask ourselves these questions? Than saying we are having a refugee solidarity conference that happened on the 22nd of June 2007 that attracted almost everyone that matters in the world. And we looked at $2 billion US, you know? Can we say, let's look at the root cause and stop this problem? I want to go back, my brother hinted on the refugee policy a bit. But you see, for me, this is where I feel that either we made a mistake or we are being taken for granted as a country. Look, there is nowhere in the world, and I want to briefly read for you an article. Uganda's self-reliance policy for refugees has been widely praised and described by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees as a model of development-based assistance for other countries to emulate. In contrast to many refugee hosting countries, Uganda's self-reliance policy allows refugees the right to work and freedom of movement. You see, when a refugee doesn't go to Rwanda, doesn't go to Tanzania, doesn't go to Kenya, but goes to Uganda, because of this policy, it has done us good, being praised third in the entire world, first in Africa. But at the end of the day, it is causing commotion back home. How, Philo? I've told you, a refugee from a transit center goes to a camp and they are given a 30 by 50 acres of land. There's a citizen who is looking for that land. They can't afford. This is not land of Congolese. No. It is land of Ugandan, that government of Uganda gazetted. The process of gazetting, I don't want to go into that, how it happened. Two, today, You're having refugees that are running businesses, leave alone being in camps. You get it? So Uganda is so much a peace haven because of this policy that it will continue having the influx. And our neighbors are sure, begin fighting, they'll run to Uganda. Our policy does not talk about forceful repatriation. There are countries in the world. If they determine the situation at home is okay, go back. President Paul Kagame, one of the people that I like so much because he seems to believe that Africa can handle its problems, has continually said, why should we still have Rwandan refugees in Uganda? Asking himself, why should a Rwandese still be a refugee in Uganda? How many years since we had peace? But our policy says that a refugee will only go back home when they feel it is safe and they want to go back home.
Yes.
You get it? That is why you're going to see many people who will tell you, I have businesses, I began a family. Why then should I go home? Some are even aspiring to be tribes included in Uganda's constitution as a tribe. So, this is what we are talking about, this good policy. Go to Cooper Complex, go to a number of Balimu in retained business, in all this. At the end of the day, the local communities, that struggle, that competition is not healthy for our country. Much as we are benefiting in terms of employment given to some people, recently we saw our, was it Prime Minister or Honorable, saying if you're buying food for refugees, buy from us.
Yes.
Stop this importation. We are trying to see how we are benefiting. But as a Bible scholar, and I believe my friend is also one, there was a time when some young man of God, I think it was Joseph, who was taken from one country and went into another country. Now what happened? His group of people who were like refugees to that country outnumbered the locals. The Bible is very clear. They outnumbered the local community there. They were so many. And there was a lot of conflict. That a time came when they were told, go back to your ancestral land. You may look at money, you may look at international image, but what is happening? Do I want to tell you there are communities where if all does is not changed, refugees are going to outnumber locals. You're going to see them looking at all ways of penetrating into the entire system, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a danger in a making. That's why some people don't have this good policy that we are praising or we are praised for as a country.
Well, it may look so beautiful on the outside, but when it comes to the inside, there are very many complaints that are being raised, especially by the communities around here. Anyway, as we are trying to wind up, Felix, what do you think would be the solution? Do we create changes in this refugee policy? And anyway, is there a possibility of us changing, or maybe we are having a certain faction of people that are really big beneficiaries out of this policy and they cannot stand seeing the changes being created in there? You're trying to get into their space.
I think it would be very sad for someone to benefit from a challenge like refugee question. However, I believe we have gotten to a point where we should accept and believe that the refugee question should cease to be a Ugandan problem, but rather an East African discussion on how to manage refugees, but also to reduce the influx of the same. We have had discussions at an East African level variously about many aspects, but we are trying to play safe whenever it comes to issues of refugees. Most of the people we host here are part of the East African community. Okay? We have, I think it is only once where we had people, refugees from Iraq, was it Iran or Iraq or whatever? Some are from, they were sent here by the US. But most of them...
Did they ever arrive though?
They did. They did. There's some, I think they're from either Iran or Iraq, one of the two. But we need to have this discussion on East African level, because all of the members we are having as refugees are from these countries. Congo, Rwanda, Sudan, most recent to getting people from, of course, away from the Eritreans and Ethiopians and all these people. Let us have a discussion at an East African level and see how to assist each other. That's the best way to do it. Like now, Sudan's number has drastically reduced of refugees.
Yes.
Rwanda, really reduced. Now the challenge we have is Congo, but we must find a solution together. For me, I think that's the best way to deal with it than waiting for the simple donations we get out of these hosting them and then the UN and what. Let's appreciate this problem as a country, but later on as the East African community. That makes more sense.
All right. Well, you can also get into our socials and let us know what you think a temporary or permanent solution can be when it comes to the refugee question here in Uganda. How can the Ugandan government handle the refugee question better to reduce its burden on Ugandans? Hashtag UBCGMU and the WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. We're going in for a break. When we get back, we'll be having the big headlines in our press review on our dailies, Daily Monitor, Daily Nation, and the New Vision. Good morning.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone, the most affordable smartphone in Uganda. You get to enjoy free 1 GB for 1 whole year. My Airtel 4G smartphone, your best value for money. Visit the nearest Airtel outlet today and get one at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Fellow Ugandans, did you know that we are losing wetlands at an alarming rate? Wetlands are the most threatened ecosystems, disappearing 3 times faster than the forests. Dear ones, we risk losing species to extinction and a lot of wetlands at maintaining our environment. Let us all be concerned, conserve, and restore our wetlands. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, in partnership with the Interreligious Council, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
The Daily Monitor this morning, more people losing property over loan. Cars have been put up for sale in 2022 and how the number has actually grown. Looking at motorcycles that have been auctioned, land with developments, land with buildings, land itself. Well, things are really getting tough by the minutes. Now, more Congolese flee to Uganda. In more news, Kadaga loads Spark TV on 5th anniversary. Prices of land in cities, municipalities soar. Looking at Ebola cases, a rise to 5 in Kampala. And healthy living, all you need to know about organ transplant. And healthy living, all you need to know about organ transplants. Maybe this can also give you quite an insight of the stories we've been hearing on the streets. Second page of the Daily Monitor, Minister launches system to enhance local government revenue. Now, today in history, NRC passes Constitutional Commission Bill back in 1988, and the United Nations is born today. The hour is 1945. So if you still remember your history, you would know that today is quite a big day for the UN.
And crossing over into the New Vision, China leader gets third term. That is a story on page 45. And security pursues Dubai traffickers. Well, 156 stranded Ugandan girls returned from the United Arab Emirates. That's a story on page 5, and the big picture right there, Muhoozi meets West Nile youth. There's more to that story, and 56% of Ugandan children are fatherless. That is on page 3. And in the series, children with disability struggle in primary school. It's a story on page 50 to 51, and First Lady bids farewell to French ambassador. That is on page 6 of the New Vision.
Daily Monitor Sports, Bull watch from above as KCCA pork Vipers. It was quite a cutting-edge weekend. Star Times Uganda Premier League table leaders Bull refused to cede any territory by defeating record winners SC Villa in Njeru, while KCCA remind Vipers they run this town, as the Venoms concede first goal in 6 matches in all competitions. And Arua Hill just do not know how to lose a football match, at least not from their Barifa Fortress. Sun Cranes win second AFCON game. Sechibeja is open king, and Lubambula pleased with Lady Cranes. Now, when the Venice Marathon, Mutai breaks course record. Solomon Mutai conquers Venice in a course record to stake claim for 2023 Budapest Worlds.
And in the New Vision Sports Inside story, Klopp gets lost in a forest. Well, more to that story, but also they're giving you a picture right there of Sechi Vijay, who celebrates with a fan after winning the Uganda Open on Saturday. Now, Sechi Vijay bags Maiden Open. Of course, they also give you the final leaderboard. You can take it out, see who else took some points, that is at the Lake Victoria Serena Golf Resort during the match on Saturday. Museveni to flag the EAUG, that is the East African University Games in Deje 2022. And of course, President Museveni has been a big advocate of the East Africa integration, as he believes in its visibility as the 3 political, economic and social elements. Now, he will be involved in the games. That's a big story right there for you, and you can check out more details. Also, the games that were played over the weekend, you can look at the boards right there and find out. KCCA beats Vipers to re-establish their title credentials. A good one right there.
The Daily Nation, Kalonzo refused a job offer, says Ruto. Now, President says his door is still open after he says that he had made deliberate efforts to engage Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, including offering him a job in his government, which he flatly declined. In more stories, Raila orders probe into election loss, still looking at the post-election plan, and Kenyan nurse stabbed to death by a patient in US. And Turkana in throes of hunger, where we're looking at a humanitarian crisis. We arrive at Mr. Namonyo Echoto's homestead at 11 in the morning, and they're giving you a full story of how that is happening. Well, the Daily Nation is also giving you a more detailed story on how inside plans to pull troops out of Somalia is disintegrating. So catch up on that and many more stories in the Daily Nation, in the Daily Monitor and the New Vision. Now, getting onto the roads this morning, we start off with the areas around Queensway, around Chibuye, parts of central Kampala division, and again we'll be looking at also some other parts of Makindye Division, Queensway this morning. The traffic is already building up there, considering that it's a Monday and we have a number of people rushing to town. So you'd be expecting the traffic build up over there. We're seeing the reds and oranges that are quite dominant on the biggest part of this road. As of course you're getting closer, you also witness the traffic getting heavier by the minute around that Katwe and Chivuye area. We do see traffic coming in from this position, from this direction rather, this as well and also this as well. The traffic is really getting crazy and we're seeing everybody trying to make sure that they get where they are headed. Looking at Kampala Entebbe Road, I could say that the stretch over here with the traffic is actually intense. It could be than the usual. Well, we don't know why, but you should be expecting the traffic over there. But we also know that there's some works happening around that place. So again, you need to start considering another shortcut, or you could actually consider getting up earlier than before. Now continuing looking at Mobutu Road. Mobutu Road has already had traffic built up over there. So yes, make sure that you could get a plan B if you haven't yet set off. And coming in from some areas, considering this location, Salama Road has a traffic that has already built up on several parts over there as they're trying to connect to the main road to lead you straight to town. So again, you need to plan accordingly. And also looking at other roads like Lukuli Road, traffic is starting to build up there. The orange clearly showing you that over here any minute now it could get more intense than it already looks. So please make sure that you come up with an informed decision. Now looking at some areas of Nsambia. Nsambia again is also very busy this morning from areas that are coming from people, with people coming in from other further areas around there. We know that Nsambia is also quite a very busy town center, but also quite very many roads that are coming in, shortcuts to lead people to the main road. So probably that's why we're seeing quite some heavy traffic over there as you're headed towards town. And again, looking at areas of Kabalagala, well, you do expect again traffic on that main road. Looking at cars using the Gaba Road, clearly the traffic has already started becoming intense over here. You could see the color transitions from orange moving into red and into maroon as they're headed one of. Again is another route that will lead you to Access Road, again leading you to the main road, which by the way is also not clear of the traffic this morning. I could say that the traffic has already built up over there and it has taken over a big stretch of this road over here all the way as you're headed towards Access Road. And getting to Access Road, again, you'll be expecting traffic coming in from the industrial area. We do have the 8th Street that is already heavy with the traffic. We already have the 7th Street that is not any different. We already have the 6th Street as well. I could say that this area is already very, very busy as we speak right now. And if you're getting onto the main road, which is Kampala Jinja Road, using Access Road, expect the traffic over there as well as you're trying to join in on the junction. And Kampala Jinja Road, as usual, the traffic has already been registered. Orange stretches all the way. We have cars coming in from Yusuf Lule Road. We have cars joining in from Wampel Avenue, and also cars coming in from Old Port Bay Road. So yes, it's going to be quite a busy Monday morning on our roads this morning. That's it from the traffic updates. I don't know what it looks like when it comes to weather, Mollen. What is the plan? Are we seeing the hot weather that we did experience yesterday? Was quite a very hot Sunday, at least where I was. I don't know if the same story will be told for today.
It looks like we might have a repeat of yesterday. Quite some sunny weather across most places within the country, and we're looking at actually a beautiful morning, because I do believe that starting off with the sunny weather is much better than a rainy morning. I don't know what you think about that.
I'm okay with this weather. I think we've had the rains for quite a while, so we need like a commercial break on that, and we try to experience the hot weather. Eventually we will get back into the cold weather. Like I always say, we humans, we are very hard to please. Okay, 1 minute we want this, another minute we want that. But now we'll take what we are given. Well, that's it from the traffic updates this morning. I leave you with Mollen to give you more concerning weather and climate news. I am Philomena Mastiko. Have a wonderful week ahead.
Well, I'll take it from there, and looking as before we complain actually about the sun, I think some people are actually getting comfortable with the sun, and they could be looking to have more of that, especially considering that extreme weather events in terms of rain and heavy showers have brought a lot of incidences that are not called for. Now we're talking about the latest coming in from Mexico, where so far 2 people have died due to a tropical storm Rosalyn. Now this tropical storm actually did land yesterday across Mexico as a Category 3 hurricane, and brought with it a lot of destruction to the coastal areas of Mexico. You look at the Pacific island that was also, hit by these heavy storms coming in due to this Category 3 hurricane tropical storm Rosalyn. Now, so far what we do know is that there is still rescue on ground to ascertain the damage, but at least 2 people have been confirmed dead after the heavy storms did storm the coastal areas of Mexico. Now, images coming in from the areas that were submerged in the water and homes are showing a lot of damage. And of course, you also look at what the state civil security agency is saying that yes, there was minor damage in the neighbors, but the place where it was hit, it is still very uncertain on the extent of damage. Heavy rainfall was also expected to continue in some areas due to the forecast coming in from the National Hurricane Center, showing that they could actually be blessing themselves for more flooding and landslides as rains are expected to continue. Now, most of the activities have also been halted. You look at like fishing now, which has been halted, and of course transport over the coastal areas, that has also been halted to give way until the storm clears. And of course that is what is being looked at from there. But also more severe weather is forecast across the southeastern part of Australia, as they're also looking at more flood crisis. Now, Australia has been worst hit by flooding only this month, but also at the beginning of the year. We did see reports that are coming in, that is during March, where they had a lot of rains and flooding. Now it looks like the forecasters are saying we could be having another repeat of March. Now, according to the forecast that they issued yesterday, they're saying that they could have a week-long emergency that is in the New South Wales and Victoria, as Australia is also looking at a La Nina weather event that could be bringing heavy rains across the area. Now, so far what we do know is that flooding has killed 5 people and prompted thousands of requests for assistance and led to hundreds of people being rescued from rising waters. That is according to the state agency that is responsible for weather and climate news across Australia. Now, away from that, we also want to take a look at what is happening across the country for this morning, and we'll be tapping in from our satellites. It looks like we continue to see mostly a sunny morning across much of Uganda. Quite a pleasant morning across several places, but we do have quite a rainy system over the islands of Lake Victoria, but that is only bringing in rains across areas within the islands of Lake Victoria. It looks like the rest of the country is having mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. We'll go ahead and take a look at the forecast, and that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority. We'll also look at those numbers that are expected for today, but it's going to be quite a warm day. Now, starting off with southwestern Uganda, we're looking at Mbara, Ibanda, Bushenyi and Urizi. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sun. Temperatures will be at 26 degrees. Now, the western part of Lake Victoria, we're looking at Masaka, Kalisizo, Zimbabwe and Rakai. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sun, and also quite a warm morning over there. Temperatures will be at 27 degrees. Mount Elgon Highlands also starting off with quite a sunny day. We'll be having intervals of cloudy conditions as the morning progresses. Starting off quite hot at 27 degrees centigrade, but we do expect a little bit of rains to come through later in the afternoon. Now, the eastern parts of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja. Also forecasting a mix of clouds and sun, starting off with quite a hot morning for you right there at 28 degrees, and most likely will also be continuing with similar weather during the afternoon, that is in terms of sunny intervals. Now, same conditions are forecast for the eastern parts of the country, Soroti, Katakwi, Emuria and Kumi, starting off hot at 28 degrees centigrade. Also another sunny day for you. We do expect similar weather later in the afternoon. The eastern part of Central, that is where we have Ruwero, Wobbly, Bururi and Nakaseke. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sun, also starting off quite hot at 28 degrees centigrade. Central northern Uganda also starting off with quite a sunny morning and really hot at 29 degrees centigrade. We will continue with those sunny conditions later, even in the afternoon. We could be looking at temperatures going into the lower 30s later in the afternoon. It's going to be quite a hot day for you right there. And we're also looking at the central part of Lake Victoria Basin, where we're looking at Mukono, Kampala, Entebbe and Wakiso. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with warm weather at 27 degrees centigrade, but we also do expect to have a little bit of rains across several places later in the afternoon, and maybe that might help to bring those temperatures down. Now, generally, we're looking at quite a sunny day for most areas, and of course, meaning that temperatures will also be a little bit high, so that is one to look out for. That is it in terms of weather for this morning. My name is Mollen Kenyena. I want to wish you a beautiful day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Fellow Ugandans, did you know that we are losing wetlands at an alarming rate? Wetlands are the most threatened ecosystems, disappearing 3 times faster than the forests. Dear ones, we risk losing species to extinction and a lot of wetlands at maintaining our environment. Let us all be concerned, conserve and restore our wetlands. In the name of God the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, in partnership with the Interreligious Council, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
So, I'm here to announce that the MTN Kampala Marathon is back. And this year, we are running for babies. To be clear, I am not talking about a baby. No. And neither am I talking about to be baby. I am talking about these small dollars. Yeah.
Run for babies in the MTN Kampala Marathon on Sunday, 20th November 2022. Dial star 165 star 77 hash or use the Momo app to register.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Some animals, like birds and insects, have wings. Sadly, humans do not. Thanks, Anna.
Hey, Jonathan, how's the new coffee business going?
Oh, it's going great. Your cousin Keith has been a huge help.
I'm so glad he's taken you under his wing. You know, in our family, we call him Keith the Coffee King.
Well, he sure is the coffee king.
If you take someone under your wing, you help and guide them. You make sure they have what they need. You are a little like their protector. You might do this for someone who is new to a job or school, or for someone who is new to a profession that you have experience with. And that's English in a Minute.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Ginger Tea drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard that's super easy.
Effects of climate change are glaring. We have floods, landslides, drought, food insecurity. His Excellency the President has been very passionate about this. and he has explained the effect of destroying our natural resources, especially the wetlands and cutting the forests. As cabinet, as government, we have approved a 10 years restoration program. We are going to provide alternative sources of livelihood. And the call is that people should leave the wetlands. And we have started from today evicting people from Lubiji wetlands. And we are going to roll out the whole country. Our prayer is that those who have not yet been reached, please live peacefully. We are going to provide alternative source of livelihood as a government. Those who are still engaged in manufacturing and selling the plastic, especially the illegal non-buveras, we are going to close onto them. They are also a menace to our country. We look forward very soon having sodas back in the breakable bottles rather than the plastics which are being thrown all over to litter. I want to call upon Ugandans, let's conserve and let's use sustainably our natural resources. I thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
A lovely morning to you, and many thanks for keeping it with us here on UBC TV. This is your morning show, Good Morning Uganda, and we start at 6:30, so make it a date with us. Every weekday from 6:30, we are here and we ensure we give you all the relevant information that you need to know. Now, this morning, Good Morning Uganda agenda, we are going to be looking at examination malpractices. Now, what is happening is we've seen this over a time in our country, and recently we saw the senior 4 candidates during their exams that UNEB scouts were able to find still this vice happening, where we found a senior 3 student sitting exams for a senior 4 student, and actually how the scout or invigilator was able to notice this young man was writing a name of a girl on the paper, and they discovered there was a female student who was writing the name of a boy on his examination paper. But remember, this has been ongoing over and over. Joining me this morning is the Public Relations Officer, UNEB, that is the Uganda National Examination Board, Jennifer Kalule Msamba. Good morning, Madam Jennifer.
Good morning, Mr. Kirabo. How are you? And good morning, viewers.
Well, let's begin with understanding, when we talk about examination malpractices, with the new law that was put in place to curb this, many would think for these exams, we wouldn't see any kind of such incident happening. But we are told that there have been those registered so far. First, give us a picture of what is happening, if these have been there, and why hasn't the law been a stopgap to such acts?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kirabo. We appreciate the opportunity given to us to talk to the public. Well, first and foremost, we would like to say a big thank you to all our foot soldiers out there, the scouts, the invigilators who have been very vigilant, and because of their vigilancy, we have been able to establish a number of malpractice cases. Why we are talking about why do we have these cases? I want to briefly take you through the types of malpractice. We have different forms of malpractice. There's what we call prior knowledge or leakage. If a paper leaks before it has come out, like this morning they are going to do physics, and before it comes out right now, it's just 8 o'clock, or by last evening or by this morning, the paper is over there already creating. That is leakage. That's one form of malpractice, and against that very much. That is when you touch Mr. Dongo's, the apple of Mr. Dongo's eye. And then there is what we call collusion, where the candidates do collide and they copy from each other, they cheat from each other. Like we had the case of Kamuli, where the candidates were trying to, to collide, and they discuss a paper, or they discuss before they get into the examination room. It's where they designated time for examination. And then there's the copying from each other, when somebody looks at somebody's paper and they look at each other and they copy. Both the person who has copied and the one from whom they've copied, they are both culpable. Then what we are seeing right now, because we put in place tight measures to ensure that there's no leakage, but also even the issue of collusion, we are guarding against that very tightly, because our team, the scouts and the invigilators, the law is very tight on them. So because they know the sanctions are very tight, they are avoiding it. And this is now why we are seeing cases of impersonation going up. The teachers have realized that they can no longer be able to get papers leaked before the actual time, and they're not able to influence collusion. They're not able to influence the scouts or the invigilators. So they are trying to plan this ahead of time. This is why we have cases of impersonation. The case you just mentioned of Kawempe, this is a clear case of impersonation, something which was started right at the time of registration. At that time, you find that the head teacher did aid this malpractice by registering a young boy who is from another school, registering him as his own candidate, and then registering the girl who is supposed to also sit for that paper, who is an S4 candidate. So for us at UNEB, we have both candidates registered. So when you look at the album, you're seeing Jennifer Kamin. You're saying Kirabo is also there. So both of them are on the register, both of them are on the album, so you really have no cause for alarm. You have no reason to worry. So it had to take somebody who was very keen to find out how come this Kirabo is writing Jennifer's name and Jennifer is writing Kirabo's name. That's what happened. So when it was established, that's when keen eye was taken, and then there were investigations were undertaken, and the rest is history. The parent confessed that indeed she did aid malpractice. She did promise to pay this young man $350,000 if she does examinations for this young lady. So would have had this young girl, the marks against this young girl very high. They want her own marks, and then the boy would have had very poor performance, and he appears next year as a repeater. That is basically the scenario they were trying to, they were trying to work out. But by the grace of God, we were able to secure a very quick conviction, the very first ever. It was the fastest conviction we ever got. Within just a week, by Friday, court in Naburu had given us a conviction, whereby the parent, who did not disturb court, she just she confessed and said, yes, I was part of this. I'm the one who did aid this. I promised to pay this young man $350,000, and I'm very sorry. I didn't know what I didn't know. So she confessed, and the judge, in her own wisdom, said, okay, fine. Because of that, she reduced the sentence for her and gave her a sentence of 4.8 million shillings or 1 year imprisonment. At that time, by closure of business on Friday, she had not paid the 4.8 million, so she was taken to Reserve Prison. And then the head teacher who did aid the registration was given a non-cash bail of 5 million shillings, and he will appear for hearing, I think, on the 17th of November. Then we have the teacher of the school who did, who did propose that there's this young boy who can do this. That one is still on the run, but police are working around the clock. They will definitely track him down. So that's one of the key cases that we have. And now we want to caution all the others out there. Please, impersonation, we are going to be very vigilant. We want to urge our scouts and our invigilators, be very keen. Be very keen whatever you are doing, because we realize that there are going to be, there are likely to be other cases of impersonation. We've also got some other cases, or another case of impersonation. This happened in Butebo, where we had a candidate sitting for another candidate, and I think the one who was supposed to, the real owner of the paper, was waiting in the washroom, in the toilet, or something to that effect. Another candidate was busy writing. So after writing, the one who is the impersonator goes to the toilet, steps out as if to go for a short call, and then the actual candidate comes back. But the invigilator realizes that these are two different faces. So they find out and they realize actually the impersonator has now gone out, and now the actual candidate has come in to hand in the paper. And we got that case. They are also going to be tried in Bali Court this morning. They're going to appear, I think, for a hearing this week. Then we have another case of there was a case, I think, in Kabowa, where we had a fake paper which was being circulated around on WhatsApp. And this was a mathematics paper. We are also following this up critically. Investigations are still going on, and we shall be able to tell you as this continues. The case in this is, first of all, we have a clause in the Nyonyintono Act 2021, which talks about aiding, abetting, or inducing or inciting a malpractice. When you share something like that, that is clause or that is alleged to be an examination paper, whether it is correct or not, you are said to be aiding, because we are looking at the spirit behind your sharing. You are sharing because you think that it's an examination paper, you want to aid malpractice, you want to aid some students to be able to access. And this clause is very, very broad. It can catch anybody. So I want to urge the public out there, if you get this piece of paper, please don't share it. Just delete. The best you can do is get in touch with your neighbor and let us know so we can be able to follow it up. We are still, the investigation is still going on to establish who was the originator of the paper, of the so-called paper. But at the same time, everyone who did share it still, you may not be away, you may not go away with it. So I want to encourage people not to go ahead and aid this kind of malpractice.
Well, Jennifer, these sound like movies, but in real sense, they did happen. As Ugandans, our moral decadence increases, one would wonder, why would someone invest so much in cheating at senior 4, to be honest? These are things you've studied. These are things that are going to come. But let's also understand what causes this cheating. Away from you saying the laws are tough and all this, what is causing these examination malpractices year after year? Why?
Well, on the side of the school, inadequate teaching is very critical. Once a teacher has not prepared their candidates well enough, they feel they are inadequate, they feel they've not given them enough, they've not supported them enough, so it's scary. You're like, oh my goodness, my candidates are not going to pass. So inadequate teaching and learning is very critical, and we want to urge people in the profession to try and always know there's a syllabus. Like this time around, we had an abridged curriculum, and UNEP is setting according to abridged curriculum for this season due to COVID-19. So where teaching and learning did not take place effectively, that is why the teachers end up aiding malpractice. On the side of the parents, I really wouldn't know what their motivation is. Because really, you are trying to, what kind of morals are you trying to inculcate in your child? That you know you are going to be cheating the rest of your life. This is how you are going to survive. And that is why we are talking about joint responsibility. And then on the side of the directors, the district officials, there is this other, it's commercial. The more students you make pass, the more you're going to get more candidates or more people come into your schools. You people in the media even try to aid it further by always, when the results are out, you tell us how many schools got how many fours and all that. Everybody is celebrating. And everyone wants to appear in the media as they are celebrating. They want to appear like they did perform excellently well. At the district, I understand head teachers are threatened. If you don't perform well, if you make our district perform poorly, you are going to be transferred. So everybody is under pressure to make sure that there's good performance at whichever level, which is okay to have good performance, but no one should really have unfair competitiveness. That is why we are insisting and saying it is a joint responsibility. Integrity and security of examinations, as well as the health and safety of learners, is a joint responsibility. For you colleagues in the media, you do your bit. Make sure you sensitize everybody. Give us opportunities like this. We do appreciate all this. The parents should do their bit. The learners should do their bit. The teachers should do their bit, and even the directors. So it is a joint responsibility. And then on the side of the candidates, in case they've not prepared enough, inadequate preparation for the candidates, is also a critical, is also a possible cause. If they've not prepared enough. First of all, there was inadequate teaching and learning, and they've not been given enough time to prepare. That could be one of the reasons. But also the moral decay, really. Because when you find somebody going all the extra mile to think through the entire process and say, I want to do this. And we want to add, please do not destroy our morals, and also don't destroy the credibility of our certificates. It does not matter whether a malpractice takes place in 2022 and Mr. Kirabo, you did your examinations in 2019, in 19 something. It doesn't matter. If there's a general image out there that Uganda examinations leak or there's malpractice in Uganda, and you ever present your certificate anywhere, it will be doubted. That is why for us, our vision is to become a credible. Our vision is to become a recognized center of globally competitive assessment. One of the reasons why we fight malpractice very much so, because once we have malpractice, then our certificates will not be credible, and this will affect the entire system, will affect all Ugandans, and we don't want this, and we shall do whatever it takes to guard against anything that is going to derail the credibility of our certificates.
Well, Jennifer, that was said. Now, one would say maybe the people in Kawempe were unlucky, but over and over time, there are allegations of schools that maybe are known to cheat in exams, and they are never maybe brought to book. Let's also look at the process away from just the classroom, because examinations, like you've mentioned, the various forms of cheating, but there are also allegations that even within UNEB, the marking, the way you carry out the marking and all that, that this has aided some schools to be academic giants, yet in reality they are prominent readers but smart, and maybe because they're wealthy enough, there's a way they can cover up. What assurance do you give Ugandans that when a child sits their exams, right from you protect the exam, it doesn't leak, but also the classroom, you've assured us leaking or cheating may not be possible, but the aftermath, when the exams have finished, have been done, now the marking, how safe is that area? Because you also hear that maybe that is when the schools of the halves have predominantly become the giants, because they have a way of playing at that level.
I'm glad you said maybe. Indeed, it is maybe. Now, I want to assure you that that is not correct. First and foremost, the process of becoming an examiner is very rigorous. We go through, we put in so many things into consideration. First of all, everybody has the right to apply to be an examiner, as long as you qualify. It's an online process, so if you qualify, you can apply to be an examiner based on the guidance given by the board. After that, we take you through a training. First of all, we take you through a training. After the training, you do an examination. So then it means that everybody who is trained becomes an examiner. So it is a rigorous process. Now, coming to the papers themselves, we have what we call the randomization of numbers. Random numbers, and that's one of the strategies to make sure that we don't have those kind of allegations, because nobody is going to know which school is for which number. Let me give you an example of physics this morning. Physics is going to take place. The random numbers are like the way they want it is random number. Every school is going to have a random number just for physics this morning. For the papers which are going to be done in this morning, every school is going to have a random number. And then in the afternoon, there shall be another random number for that same school. Tomorrow, chemistry is going to be another random number. So ideally, when it gets to the time of marking, no examiner can know which random number is for which school, for which subject. Because when they get into the marking center, you don't get in there with anything. That's why we don't allow them to have their phones on. We check them thoroughly, just to make sure you do not have any piece of paper somewhere. And even if you were to cram a random number for school X for this subject, you can't cram especially for O level, you can't cram for all of them. So realistically, it is not possible. Everybody is going to get in there and they're going to do the marking just as they're marking like anybody else. Then our system, we have what we call the conveyor belt marking system. This is so stringent. As in, you can't just mark the same number alone. Everybody, there's a belt. So everybody is going to mark that, is going to go through that same paper. Everybody is going to mark one. Let's say if there are five numbers, everybody is going to mark one number. Okay, fine. If Jennifer knows that, I'm marking, maybe I want to favor school X. Kirabo cannot want to favor the same school, and Evelyn and Mariam and everybody else. So it's a conveyor belt system. If there are 5 numbers, you have 5 examiners, each one of them marking one number, and then they put the marks all together. And then the process, by the time they say that Kirabo has received 95% to 80% or something, then we have what we call the double checking system, the additions, to make sure that indeed we have what we call checkers. Somebody is going to make sure all the numbers were marked and all the additions are correct. So by the time you say Jennifer got 7 out of 10 in this number, 3 other people have got to confirm that indeed it's 7 out of 10. Then after that, you have the double entry system into the computer system. My point is, we have in place a stringent mechanism to make sure that the process of marking the assessment is very important. This is the ultimate. This is why we are an assessment body. And indeed, our mission is to conduct valid, reliable, equitable, and equal assessment of the achievements of learners. We do not play around with our mission. This is the reason we are in business. So this is something we do not even joke around. We are very strict about this, just to make sure the credibility of our certificates is guaranteed. And we will do anything to guard this.
Well, Jennifer, that sounds so tight, and I wonder, by Ugandan standards, where we have so much theoretical, practically, that would require a lot of people to do that, as you've spoken. So let's analyze, how big is your human resource to do this? Because being a government body, this criteria is so long to have a number of people and, of course, resources that are allocated to you every time it happens. I wonder if this can really practically be, given our economy, given how we know budget allocations are given. That would mean you need a number of examiners to do this.
And Mr. Kirabo, we have a number of examiners, sir. We have a number of examiners that we require. What happens is that we have examiners who are in a database, and each time we are going to have a season like this, we require them to update their credentials, and they confirm if they still want to be our examiners. And if you realize, we recruit every other year. So depending on the number of candidates who have registered, this is why we always emphasize on registration, because that gives us the basis for all the other activities. So we shall know how many candidates did register for this subject, how many candidates do we have. Now, for instance, this year we have close to 35,000 candidates who registered for UCE. So we base our recruitment, our database of examiners, based on the number of based on the number of candidates we have registered. And we have teachers all over the country. That is why, you remember, like last time we did mark, because of COVID, we did mark exams when school was going on. And there was almost a catastrophe, because it meant most schools had to close, because we were working with those teams. However, that's why under normal circumstances, marking happens during the holidays. Why? Because we don't need other schools would close. So UNEP brings on board what we call contracted professionals who go through a rigorous exercise. And this is why I want to encourage people, when they open up the opportunity for examiners, please do apply. Everybody has an equal opportunity. People say we choose people from I don't know which schools. Everybody has an equal opportunity to apply as an examiner, as long as you have the requirements, as long as you have what it takes. Please go ahead and apply, regardless of where you work, where you teach. As long as you qualify, you will be given an opportunity. And I want to thank the professionals we work with, because they always work with us, they always support us all over. Even when there were threats from the unions and everything, they've come on board. They've been working with us for the scouting process, and now they're going to join us even for the examining process, for the marking process. We are grateful. We don't take their participation for granted.
How do you get the resources? Because this is not voluntary work, and we know resources are scarce, mostly in government bodies. Is UNEB a number one priority, Jennifer, for you to assure us that this is how things really are?
First and foremost, I must thank that as UNEB, we are grateful to the government and Parliament because we present our budgets and we use minimal resources ideally. And I think you've heard it say that UNEB pays little for. I think you've heard it now. Because next time you're going to ask me, how come you're paying very little money for all this? That is basically the reason. We are a government agency, and we put in the budget. We are funded by the government, and we have a budget. But there's also justification for the work that we do. Because the whole reason for the education sector is assessment, basically. At the end of it all, if our learners don't have the credible certificates, then it doesn't make sense. We'd rather not have the UPE, the UCE, and the UPOLIT systems in place. So, yes, I agree. I want to thank the Lord, rather thank the government that UNEB is a priority. We are given the resources we need, but also we are not extravagant. Ask anybody who is doing the scouting work, ask anybody who has done an examiner with us. The work actually we give them minimal, basically, based on what the work that they do. But I must confess and say that I think teachers are very noble people. That's one of the most noble professions. Teachers it's a calling. Teachers do lots of work, lots of unrecognized work, and you know this. It's not because they don't ask for so much. It's like saying somebody who teaches somebody to become an engineer, how come they are paid this? It is the same spirit. And that is why for us, we work with teachers in most of our work. Even for the scouting, we work with teachers. Why? Because they do appreciate. They do this for their profession. They do this because it is a calling. They do this because it is part of their calling, part of their work is service above soul. They get some extra money, fine, but that's not really the priority. And we appreciate their service. We don't take it for granted. So it's more or less about a calling, more or less about somebody wanting to give a service to their country. Not because we get so much money to do the work, but also somebody has got to do the job. Our learners have got to be assessed. They have to go to another level, and we are the ones who have been given the opportunity to do that. So we will do it regardless of the circumstances.
Well, teachers indeed are a group, if you are to go by Jennifer's words, that many Ugandans must emulate, that even with the little they get carrying out this work of supervising, invigilating, they are still people of integrity. Well, teachers, I hope and pray you continue being that way, because given the pressure, if a parent can cough 350, then what would happen to a big school to pay off this person who is just given 50,000 a day or 25 to stand in a class and ensure there is no cheating, there is no rigging? You're unique Ugandans, I must say. But also let's look at the examination style. When I was in school, I remember there are people they used to call examiners. Now, these were special category of teachers. An examiner would move from one school to the other because he's an examiner. And they believe this teacher knows to teach people how to answer the questions, to teach people most times what is probably to come. This teacher maybe could even help them spot. You know, they will tell you this paper came in 1995. Now there is a chance this is the paper that is going to come back. Because you know, every after 5 years, it recycles. So this examiner, and while you are in good schools, others would even pay, at least the examiner comes maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks to exams. And it would just explain. Some even had their pamphlets. This is exam for this year, exam for that year, exam for this year. Now we spot, this particular paper is likely to come. And I hear that's where the saying originated, this is not the paper. Because they would expect it is the paper coming. Sometimes the very paper would come and the examiner would be right. So your examination style, people believe that's predictable, easily to calculate and know what may come. That even some of these continuous highly performing schools, actually when you get there, most of the teachers are examiners under UNEB. And it is said they definitely can know how to, the questions should be answered, what paper may be coming back, and all that. Jennifer, your examination skill.
Mr. Kirabo, when did you sit your UNEP exams?
I did many years back.
I'm happy to hear that, many years back. Hey, we have moved on. We have moved on. And we have learned from our mistakes. We have made mistakes like anybody else. We have moved on. Before leakage used to happen, you would understand there was a time when it happened and everybody was still saying, don't open the paper before this time. And they're like, but madam, the paper is here. That was the time. And we have learned from all those mistakes. We have moved on. I don't know when you last had that issue of examiners. I don't know, trying to do the spotting or something.
I still see them being cherished in many schools.
Yes, and by the way, fine, and that is why
we employ examiners.
It is well, and like I remember I said, I want to encourage everybody to become an examiner if you qualify, because it's an open process. It's an open process. It's an online application process. Once we open up at the beginning of the academic year, let's say in January, February, it will be open. Please, I want everybody to try this out. Why? We want to eliminate allegations of saying you get examiners from school X, Y, Z, this category. We open it to everybody, everybody. So, Mr. Kirabo, you help me please do that. Advertise, tell people once January, February, once we open, kindly let everybody, as long as you qualify, because there are requirements, there are qualifications. If you qualify and you teach in whatever school you teach, you will be identified as an examiner. So I want first of all eliminate that fear. Anybody can become a NAEP examiner as long as you qualify. As long as you qualify, regardless of where you teach or where you went to school, as long as you actually passed at that level. Now, secondly, the other issue of saying they are going to predict this is the paper this year. I want to thank God we are going to get into, starting with the candidates of 2024, we are going to have a new curriculum. So that's also good. Now that will be out of the question. That is one. Two, we have a database of examinations, of test materials. And when you come to when you are invited to your neighbor, the test developer, for instance, this year, to set questions for physics, mathematics, for English, literature, you cannot predict. You cannot predict. Actually, I've been made to understand, because I also don't know, but I've been made to understand some of the questions can come even 10 years later. No one can predict and say, this is what is going to come this year. No. The examination officers, the heads of the different subjects, they work in different ways, but also, and then the director, he can choose from the database. He can choose any item, and maybe he will choose maybe an item from 2020, from 2016, from 20 whatever. It is up to them to choose an item. So it is so hard for just one single examiner to predict and say, because I put in this test item, it's going to come this examination season. We have learned over the years, and I'm telling you, it's becoming increasingly difficult to predict your name, which is why you hear all these questions, all these cases of malpractice and all that. They're all happening because of all that. They're all happening because we've tightened our nuts. And I can assure you, with time, we are not going to have any cases of malpractice. This year, we are really we want to thank God for the security teams and the courts that we are working with. We hope that when we get more convictions, more and more people will be scared from indulging in information malpractice. But also, what I want to caution people is that it's becoming more and more difficult to involve yourself in malpractice, because we have that clause which talks about aiding a malpractice basing on your intention. It can catch anybody. So the best thing for you is to be away from type of malpractice.
Now, Jennifer, also help us understand from a journalistic perspective, there are things that have happened over time, and they have been a puzzle to me. One, there are beliefs that urban centers are not marked equally as rural areas. That's why you see that some parents ensure their children are registered in rural areas. A child is at Green Hill, city parents, Kampa parents, whatever, and I take my child to Kasoga Kakuto to register as a candidate there. They assume that there is leniency. Of course, even when you look at education standards, that maybe they are marked with a bit of leniency. But also, I think it was about 4 years back where I had one of the top primary performing school, and this is public knowledge, I can speak. That was Green Hill Academy that came out and said they were undermarked. They couldn't get a few first grades, yet they are used to having a number of these. So where does this undermarking come from? And they had requested that their students or their pupils are remarked because they believe they performed better.
Well, who provides the marking guide? UNEP provides the marking guide, that is one. But also, so the issue of undermarking, I don't know where that comes from. But then, remember I talked about the random numbers? The whole idea of randomization of numbers was to eliminate such, such allegations, such myths that if you go to Kasanda Primary School, you will not be undermarked as opposed to somebody who's going to be in Kampala Parents. Nobody knows the random number which is going to be given to Ntinda Secondary School this morning. The one which is going to be, because even the poll they give them randomly, they are computer generated. So you can't say I'm going to cram the random numbers for Ntinda Secondary School from the time mathematics started until when exams are going to end on the 18th of November, all the random numbers for you to be able to cram them and make sure you don't undermark them. That is one. But I told you how we do our marking, conveyor belt system. There's blind marking. You don't know who you are marking. And you're marking just one number out of the 5 numbers. So real, even if you really wanted, okay, fine. If I knew the random number for UBC Secondary School for physics paper or whatever this morning, fine, if I knew that, but I'm going to mark only one number. And the car is going to be assessed out of maybe four numbers or 5 numbers. It still does not make sense. My point is, UNEP has put in place measures to ensure credibility of everything that we are doing. We have put in place measures to ensure that our system is not our system is not downplayed. That we know whatever we do is credible. We conduct valid, reliable, equitable, and equal assessment. That everybody has got an equal access to equal assessment, and nobody has a higher advantage over the other. And that is basically our policy. That is our mission, and we shall do anything to protect it.
Very interesting and good assurance to Ugandans. Well, Jennifer, I must let you go. But before I let you go, let me have your parting shot when it comes to the ongoing exams and those that are about to come, because P7 will be hitting the national examination rooms to sit for their exams. Senior 6 is also coming. What is your final message, more so with a hint on some of the issues we've seen, like we saw indisciplined students, but also a school requiring candidates to cut off their hair before sitting exams, which I found a bit not called for?
First and foremost, that was quite unfortunate. But what I want to explain to the public and to the candidates out there is that UNEB conducts exams within school settings. What this means is that a candidate has got to make sure that they fulfill the UNEB requirements, but at the same time make sure you follow the rules and regulations of the school. That particular case was I don't know, because I think I'll blame the elders, because I'm wondering, were the candidates were they studying from that school? Because if they were they studying with long hair? So if you know you are a candidate and they don't allow hair at your school, kindly don't come for exams with long hair or something like that. And I want to caution all our candidates and all our learners out there. Having an index number or be sitting for UNEP examination does not mean that you are over and above the school rules and regulations. You will still have to conduct yourself according to the rules and regulations of the school. We shall conduct examinations as per the rules and regulations. And UNEP assesses candidates who have been handed over to us by the center. So if your head teacher is going to stop you from getting into the school gate, then UNEP will not assess you, regardless of the fact that you have registered. So we want to urge the candidates out there, please be disciplined. The parents, please, let's talk to our children. Let's encourage them. There's a lot of tension going on. People are stressed. I just want to encourage the teachers and the school directors, please be parental. You've been with these children all these years. This shows that there's something we have not done as adults, as elders. We've not done our bit. We've not looked after them. We've not guided them. We've not counseled them. That's why they reach such a time and they are behaving the way they are. But even if they did, I want to ask all of us to be supportive of these candidates. Let's not be the ones to bar them from getting into this gate. So let's talk to them, counsel them, guide them, pray with them, encourage them, motivate them not to be rebellious. Ask them to do what they're supposed to be doing, and then they'll go through the season well. Otherwise, if you are an indisciplined candidate, you know that does not condone indiscipline. And the schools, according to the regulations, because they don't trust you, they may force you to have to be escorted by police to come and do your examination, which is very traumatizing and very demotivating. You don't want that to happen to you or even your child. So I want to ask that we all cooperate while we insist on joint responsibility. UNEP has its responsibility, the school, the teachers, the candidate, and the parents. Everybody has a responsibility. So we ask, please, let it be joint responsibility. Do your bit and we shall do our bit. Finally, I want to ask everybody, like I've said, please let's be supportive to the learners, the system. Let's make sure that everybody is supported. We want to ask the head teachers and directors of schools in primary schools and where we have not done the USC in, please, and the parents, we request that you do sort out the issues of school fees with the schools before examinations begin. We don't want our learners to miss doing examinations simply because they've not paid school fees. In the event that you're not able to pay the school fees, please go to the school, explain to them, and come up with an understanding. Explain that you'll be able to clear the school fees within a given period of time. And for the head teachers and directors, we request kindly appreciate the challenges the parents are going through. Once they ask you to do that, let the learners sit for the examinations. And as a board, when the time reaches for release of results, in the event they haven't been able to clear the school fees, we shall withhold the results temporarily, and they can access them after they pay their school fees dues. Otherwise, it's really not helpful for us to teach the learners for all these years and then we make them miss out on a great opportunity to sit for their final examinations. Otherwise, we wish all the learners all the best. We request that please avoid malpractice. Our colleagues in Kasanda and Mubending, please do follow the SOPs as given to us by the Ministry of Health. And let's all be vigilant. Let's all do our bit, and we shall have a successful season of examinations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer Karole Musamba, who happens to be the PRO, that is of the National Examination Board. Thank you for time, and we wish the candidates that is the best. You can only give what you have. In case you didn't study, you didn't read, please go and put what you have. Don't be tempted to go into examination malpractice. I'll leave you with Ruben, who is here to take you through sports updates. Good morning.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Some animals, like birds and insects, have wings. Sadly, humans do not. Thanks, Anna.
Hey, Jonathan, how's the new coffee business going?
Oh, it's going great. Your cousin Keith has been a huge help.
I'm so glad he's taken you under his wing. You know, in our family, we call him Keith the Coffee King.
Well, he sure is the coffee king.
If you take someone under your wing, you help and guide them. You make sure they have what they need. You are a little like their protector. You might do this for someone who is new to a job or school, or for someone who is new to a profession that you have experience with. And that's English in a Minute.
Fellow Ugandans, did you know that we are losing wetlands at an alarming rate? Wetlands are the most threatened ecosystems, disappearing 3 times faster than the forests. Dear ones, we risk losing species to extinction and a lot of wetlands at maintaining our environment. Let us all be concerned, conserve, and restore our wetlands. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, in partnership with the Interreligious Council, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
My name is Ruben P. Machibirango, and I'm happy and blessed to be here this morning. Of course, we have a lot this Monday. It's a beautiful Monday morning. And I'm sure many of you would love to get what I have on the menu. I have a lot on the menu. But as a norm, as a national broadcaster, we normally focus on the local content. And today, we shall be talking to the president, that is old Dad Henry of Admin FC. They are going to have to be engaging in communities to support the club. You know, this is a community club that needs support from the people within the community. What the culture in European football is, somebody comes up with a club which is community based, and the club has a fan base of the community, so that club goes on and on and on for years and generations. So Admin FC is a community club that to this morning they will be getting involved into community activities, and we expect to talk to the chairman, that is Dad Henry, who will be talking to us and taking us through the program they have this morning. Well, okay, we'll be getting to him soon, but of course we had a couple of activities that took place over the weekend. We had the Premier League, we had the Serie A, we had the beach soccer. I got a message from Richard Wairagara I think it was yesterday, showing Uganda considered 10 against Senegal, and Richard was shocked and was asking me whether it's a rugby scoreline or not. But Richard, you know, with beach soccer you can even concede 12 or 20 or 15 goals in a single game. It's not like the real football where it's very hard to concede more than 5 goals unless otherwise a few cases here and there, but I'll be actually communicating with you that. But I'm waiting to see the president, that is Admin Football Club, joining us from Tororo. He will be talking about the community engagement of the club and what they have on Wednesday. Because as far as I'm his connection. He's not really getting to the line. But of course, we had the Chelsea United game. For me, was the pick of the weekend in England. Many would ask, was it a penalty? Was it a penalty? And I'll tell you that it was a penalty. Scott McTominay, when you hold a player in the 18-yard area, for me, Broha was brought down by McTominay, and indeed it was a penalty. I've got a couple of messages here. Some people complaining and saying that it was not a penalty, it was soft. No, when you put your hands around a player, you're bound to get issues, and the referee was right on the spot to point at the spot. It was a penalty, and that should not create doubt. We would love to see it, Edmond, whether it is true that it was a penalty. And I will tell you that the rules of the game, the moment you hold as an offensive player, the attacking player attacks the ball, and when you hold him, you are stopping him, you are limiting him to getting to the ball. So the foul is interpreted as a penalty if it's in the 18-yard area. If not, it's not. Well, like I said, I'm joined by the man that is Henry Owori Eldad, who is online from Tororo. I will be talking about the community engagement of Admin FC Football Club. I know that many would actually ask why, but as a national broadcaster, we normally focus on the local content, and our role and our mandate is promote our people. And when such an initiative comes up, we really get up and support. So in terms of the support to this beautiful game, we want to understand what is up to and what he is really doing as the club president of Admin FC. Good morning, Awol. Can you hear me? I doubt he can hear me. I really doubt he can hear me. Can you hear me, Awol? Are you there, or you're not there even? Okay, we can't get him. I think the sound is bad. I just think the sound is not clear, but of course we'll get to him when he comes through. I was saying that the United game, that was the draw at Stamford Bridge. Before we go to a war in Tororo, those who are arguing that it was never a penalty, it was a penalty. The rules of the game are very clear. That the moment you stop an attacking player from attacking the ball, and in terms of using your hands or your legs, an advancing player to the ball, it's interpreted as a foul. And if it is within the area, it's within the box, it's a penalty. If it's outside, the free kick. Scott McTominay was at fault. He was at fault when he fouled Broha, and of course the referee did not even consult the VAR. It was a clear penalty, and indeed Jorginho did not make any mistake into the spot, went ahead and scored that goal. Then for me, from the first minute to the final minute, United played well off the park. They really played well. They got their tactics right, and Casemiro for me had one hell of a game. He was intercepting passes, passing the balls. You see, when you're a defensive midfielder and you can control the zones, then you're good enough. Well, Award is back online. I don't know whether they can hear me this time round. Good morning, Award.
Good morning, Mr. Robin.
How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing there over there?
I'm very fine. How is Tororo?
Tororo is quite good.
I can actually, I can see the smile of a Tororo, which is quite good. I can clearly see. So we want to understand, Admin FC is actually having a community engagement. Can you take us through that?
Yeah. As we said earlier to the fans, that Admin FC is now back to the community, in the hands of the community. So as the management of Admin FC, we are engaging more of the stakeholders and the corporate bodies of Tororo and the Uganda at large to really come together and support the team Admin FC.
Okay. So one would love to know, Admin FC is in which division?
Admin FC is in the 3rd division of the Uganda League, which is sometimes they call it regional league.
Yeah.
Whereby we are hosting our games in Tororo, and we are basically in Tororo.
Okay, when you talk about Admin FC getting engaged into community activities, what do you mean here? What is about Admin and the community? What are you trying to come up with?
Definitely, one thing I want to tell our listeners is that as Admin FC, ever since we brought this club to the community, it has attracted the attention of mostly the leaders of Tororo and the corporate bodies, whereby the leaders of Tororo have now come in with full gear to support the team, especially through the chairman LOC5, that's John Okeya, who is working hand in hand with Admin FC to make sure that Admin FC acquires all the necessary resources to move as a club.
Okay. There's a message here for you. There's a message here, Henry, that's coming in from Elijah. He says that he is a good fan of football in the country, and so many clubs come up like Admin FC, but they end up collapsing. So how are you sure that the club will not collapse?
Admin FC has stood on ground ever since 2013, and it has gone through a lot, either through hard time and a good time. And as a club president, I want to tell the listeners that Admin FC will not ever and ever fail to stand. Amidst any challenge, we have been standing with this club. And right now, the most important part is that the community has come in. Whereby now, as Admin FC, we are organizing a dinner, a fundraising dinner.
So we understand that, are you there? You must have gone.
Every stakeholders, every to really come and support the team. And I want to tell you that the corporate companies within Tororo have teamed up to make this dinner move on. And our leaders,
we must have lost you, Henry. I can't get a hold of you. I can't hear you. But it's a good initiative. Of course, I know many would actually ask why. I mean, if a club is back to the community, it's very easy to fund that club. Clubs have collapsed. There's a message from Elijah who said that clubs have come up and collapsed. Masav FC, so many clubs have come up and then collapsed. Are you back, Award? You're back?
Yes.
You're saying that the corporate companies in Toronto have actually teamed up for this dinner.
Yes, the corporate companies, the political leaders, and the best of it is that this dinner, the guest of honor is going to be only and only one, Joshua Cheptegei, who is the world record athletic. And you see how the club is moving. Many people have picked up interest on the team, and they are really pushing forward to see that Admin become one of the best teams in Uganda. And for real, we shall work hand with them and make sure that Admin is one of the best teams in Uganda, and we shall push for the good of Admin FC.
Many always promise that, and they end up letting us down. So we need to, you stand the test of time to prove that it will be the best club in Uganda. But I personally, for now, I cannot believe, I might not believe you. Maybe after some years, I will believe you. Maybe. Me and a few people in Uganda.
Definitely. I say one of the best.
Mark says here that...
might not be the best, but will...
Okay, Mark says, good morning, Ruben. Good to hear from Award, but we want to know, how do we support Admin FC as people from Uganda?
Definitely, as people from Uganda, we really need their support, especially the support that we need from them, they should take this club, because this club playing in the having a station in Tororo does not mean that it's only for the people of Tororo.
Yeah.
That's why even you see that the players of Admin FC are from different parts of the country. However, the people of Uganda and the Uganda at large, they are in a good support of the team.
Okay.
And most especially, like, we have like MPs from the northern who have also been putting hand to support this team. Really, this shows that Admin FC needs support of everyone, and every stakeholder must come in, because very soon we are going to station our jerseys in Kampala, where people can still buy them and they support the team. That's one way of supporting the team.
Okay. Kim says that so many teams come up and then they end up not paying players. Ruben, can you confirm or can you confirm to us that the president, Henry of Admin FC, the club he heads pays players?
Definitely, Robin, it is on record that Admin FC, from the time we started the league, that is 2017,
yeah,
we have been in a good record of paying our players. And whatever we agree with them, we normally pay them. And that's why for us as a smaller club, we don't normally commit ourselves to pay players so much, because we pay them what we can afford. And what we agree with them, they normally get on the time.
Okay.
That's why in a record, even if you go where admin has never have players complain about the payment.
Benjamin says that all clubs, what leads to their collapse is their lack of academies and youth structures. Ruben, ask that gentleman, does Admin FC have a youth structure?
That's definitely, Admin has a youth structure, and we have registered our youth academy with the federation,
yeah,
whereby we have missed out this year to participate in the youth league, but come next year, we are going to participate, because our registration took a little bit more time. But Admin, we have academy with the players, over 40 players, and most of the schools within Itoro and within Kampala, most of these players we are supplying to these schools also to play. Like when you look at most of the players who took the championship of the Odilo in Eastern Region were from Admin Football Club. Most of those young boys.
Okay.
So we are really setting up a structure for everyone to fit in.
Okay, finally, Alari says that, good morning, Ruben, good morning, Henry. How can someone be part of the corporate dinner in Tororo?
This is the corporate dinner. We are inviting everybody, every stakeholder to come. The dinner will be on 26th at 7 p.m. at Shire. However, the cards for the dinner are available within Tororo. And for those who cannot access direct card, I'm going to share with you the card on WhatsApp. You can share with them, and they can really come and support the team. And those who cannot manage to come, still they can send in their support. We shall recognize.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we shall have to really thank and put the people who have supported us and recognize them.
Okay, Henry, I've got to go. Time is not our best ally, but your parting remarks.
Okay, my parting remarks is that I would wish to tell our fans that for this time around, Admin has come in a different shape, and it has come in a different structure, that we are really making our strategy to make Admin become a home for every Ugandan to fit in. And we call upon all Ugandans, wherever they are, to support this team. And as I promised, that Admin FC will not collapse. And Admin FC is a team that has come to raise the face of Ugandan football at a high level.
Okay.
Especially in Eastern, where football has not been our best, but we shall really make sure that we put the football as the best ground in Tororo and Eastern at large. and the entire Uganda.
Okay, thank you so much, Ward. Of course, Dad Henry, the President Admin FC, for finding time and talking to us. And of course, those who are in Tororo, I know you're watching. Just support the community club. Let's embrace the club, and let's all put hands together to support our own club. That is the Tororo-based club. That is Admin FC. Wednesday is the corporate dinner. Of course, many have invited. The cards are being given out, and the President himself will be giving out a couple of cards, and corporate companies that are coming on board. Please let's support the club. Let's support for the good cause. And as UBC, we always promote local content, and part of it is Admin FC. Well, bye-bye, Ward. See you next time. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Regards.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, I've got about what was actually been online from Toro, the Admin FC president, talking about the club and of course their community engagements, and they have a corporate dinner that will take place on Wednesday. So whoever supports the club should be there to support in person, support physically, so that the club doesn't collapse. And the clubs that have collapsed, we had Arua Garage. There was Wicked Star. I normally don't hear about it. We had Irudi. You should consider the 11 against SC Villa. Irudi. So Admin FC might also be in that kind of line, but of course, as a community club, maybe the fans will support it and they will not let it collapse. I've got to go. My name is Ruben once again. Thanks so much for joining us. Up next is Sharon Chomujisha with GMU Extra. Good morning.